at the end of the day, if I'm playing cops and robbers, it ain't no hard feelings. If you a cop and I'm a robber,
we're both doing our job.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Cowboy and Indian, it ain't no hard feeling. You play cowboy, I'm Indian. I want to be Indian. I want to be a robber. So why I'm mad at you, cop, when you get the robber? It's your job to get me. It's my job to make it so you don't get me. Ain't no feelings in this. I know what I'm doing. So we teach that. Man, you run from the police kick your ass. Well, guess what? You got to throw the gun away. Take the ass whooping. They didn't catch the gun. That was an understood, unwritten rule. You run, you get your ass kicked. So you don't go complaining.
It certainly used to be.
You don't go complaining.
It doesn't happen much anymore.
You threw the dope, but because no one is being taught this is right and this is wrong. Okay, you want to sell drugs, son? Okay, get you some money, have your lawyer money, bond money, and commissary money, because you're going to jail. Tell him.
You know, sometimes the best ideas are born from people who come from opposite sides of the tracks, that bring new perspectives to the table and are willing to listen and learn. This cat was brought to my attention by a good brother of mine down in San Antonio, Kirk Simondinger. Shout out, brother. He sent me some videos and said, man, this guy's controversial, but is substantive. He's got ideas that align with a lot of the things that you're trying to do on this podcast. I completely agreed. The more I watched, the more I was intrigued. Once I looked into this, I realized, hey, this cat is local. So I reached out and we linked up for a 30-minute coffee. 3 hours later, we decided, hey, it's time to go. We kind of both had wished we had recorded that session also. But so this may be one of many podcasts, perhaps, but it highlights the fact that we have so much more in common than our differences will outweigh. So that's the important thing to remember here, is that both of us are trying to accomplish a lot of the same things. And it's been my pleasure getting to know him, and I hope to get to know him even better and feature him in more of these things. So without further ado, I welcome the entertainer, celebrity Charleston White to the TCast. Check it out. I wasn't going to start with this, but I may as well since we're on topic. How do you navigate threats, whether they online or whatever? How do you navigate that, knowing that you're not going to slow down? You say things that are controversial and everything else, but it's important that you say it. So how do you navigate that?
When I look in the mirror, before I face the world, in my mind, I'm speaking against evil. I say some horrendous things. I say some offensive things, some disrespectful things. But as I'm speaking, there's no anger or hate in my heart. I don't hate anything. So just 2 days ago, they probably spent half the morning putting my mother's address online. Oh, yeah. Put my address online. And so I go to a silent place and I tell myself, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. I'm saying, man, come on, God. I'm speaking against evil. Mm-hmm. Guys, so I can't, in my mind, man, I don't think God's going to let anything happen. That's my belief.
How do the people around you feel? Because we're in similar circumstances, yeah. Right? When you get a threat, you have to take it seriously because, look, if you were just a single dude living on your own,
wouldn't be a problem.
Screw them, right? What happens, happens, whatever. I get that. But, man, you got a family. They're putting your mom's address on.
Everybody's worried. Everybody's worried around me. You know, my wife leaves early in the morning, so she's worried. The neighbors. Hey, man, the neighbors is worried.
Yeah.
They're afraid, and I try not to let their fear succumb me. I care that they're afraid, but I try to be fearless for them. We can't control what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. I remind myself and the people around me that God, the Creator, He's the author of life and death. That's out of my hands, and I don't believe I've done anything.
That deserves a death penalty.
Yeah, man. That's what I'm telling myself. Come on, man. I know I'm. But I'm poking at people that will kill you.
Right. That's my point.
Yeah.
So look, so in the analysis of this, like, so you say you don't think it would deserve it, but you have people that you're dealing with that have very little to lose. So that's one thing. You also have, you're talking about working, getting your security team together for Houston. Those are things that you can't stop what's going to happen, but you can mitigate what's going to happen.
Yeah, man.
So you can put things in place, in other words.
Me and my mother, my pops, my grandmother, everybody's afraid I'm going to get it one day. That's their biggest fear. And I'm saying, well, what about the guys who's giving it to people? When are they going to get it? Why is it just the good people? Why we got to get it?
Right.
So there's a faction in my community that believes, because I'm speaking against the negative things in our community, that that's going to bring bad energy and karma to me. And I'm saying, I'm willing to sacrifice that. When I decided to change my life, I discovered a purpose. But prior to discovering that purpose, I found an identity. I wanted to be a pimp. I wanted to be a gangster. I wanted to be a killer. I was a crip. I wanted to be all these things. I never desired to be a man, only when I was a boy. When I was a boy, I wanted to be a man. But as I started to grow older, being a man was something I never desired to be. I wanted to be everything but that. So then I had a child. My son gave me my identity. I'm a father. That identity gave me the strength, the power, and the tool to look at my gang buddies and say, no more. What's up, man? You selling out. I don't give a damn. I got this son. It gave me an excuse to quit everybody and everything. Yeah. So at this point, I don't know where to go in life. I remember my uncle saying, if you want to change your life from the streets, just turn right and go straight. And everybody used to laugh when he say that. It made sense when I started pondering on it.
Makes a lot of sense.
So I made a sacrifice just to walk away from the gang could get you killed. Saying, man, I don't want to hang with y'all no more. Saying, I don't think how you think no more. I don't believe how you, that can get you killed where I'm from, right?
Yeah.
Just a difference of opinions.
And you have a lot of people in that environment that aren't like you in a way that when they have kids, they're not impacted by their sons or daughters like you were.
So once I got past the fear of being ashamed because I don't have money, being ashamed because I'm at the bus stop. But even though I'm at the bus stop, I'm on my way to college. My car's broke down. So I had to get past all of that. So I made a sacrifice to get to one point to where I said, man, I don't want to do wrong anymore. Once I got to that point, it's just out of complete obedience. So I can't see wrong and be quiet. That's wrong. Man, that's going to get you in trouble saying that's wrong. Yeah. My mother says silence is a form of agreement. So if we're silent in our communities about what's going on, then obviously we have to be in agreement with it.
So is she complicit then with your endeavors to go out and speak the truth then?
Jesus' parents didn't want him to be who he was, and I ain't claiming to be Jesus. My mother hates that I curse. She hates that I insult people. She hates that I use disrespectful terms and terminologies. Son, you can speak better. That's what she don't agree with. Yeah. She don't watch none of my videos. You can't call and say, girl, she say, I don't know that side of him. Because I'm pretending. And
you're speaking to an audience too. I mean, you're speaking differently now, and I don't feel disrespected. You know what I mean? But it is. It's almost like, hey, when you're in 8th grade, you go to your junior high class and you talk the game, you do your junior high kids and you curse and whatever at the school. You come back home and you speak respectfully.
Yeah.
So it's kind of your audience too, right?
When I left mom's house, my pants was pulled up. My hat was straight. Shirt tucked in. When I got far enough from the house, I'm pulling them pants down, cacking a hat to the side. I knew to get right before I entered that door.
Yeah. That's out of respect to your audience or your mother in that case.
So out of respect for my audience, I speak their language.
Mm-hmm.
So I know to get right when I come to my audience. I can't talk to my audience like I'm talking to you. I tried it. And they were saying, look at his eye. Look at his gold teeth. They're not shining that much. Oh, man, what's wrong with that shirt? Look at his car. He driving a Chrysler 300M. So materialism and the fact that I don't look like what they admire, I don't sound like what they idolize. So I had to speak the language of the people. I do presentations for the United States Department of Homeland Security at Eastfield Training Academy. Shout out to Agent Orange, Keith Orange. I don't curse. I tailor my message to the audience. If I've spoken at a Presbyterian church, all people that look like they sit on the jewelry, 60 and up. I didn't curse. Right. So when I go to the schools, I cuss because most of our kids have earphones plugged in their ear. And you say, hey, Johnny, huh? Okay. And they put the earphone back in. What you think they hearing? Motherfucker, shit, bitch, goddamn, suck, kill this. So I've sat back and watched the kids play video games on Call of Duty. Man, there's some cussing kids in the world. Yes. Man on that case, fuck you, motherfucker. Oh, man. And I'm saying, why are they so angry? So I'm saying,
well, I hear what you're saying. And I think it's a real talent that you have because not everybody could do that. It's one of the reasons why, the path that I took was the path that I took. I support people that can speak to the community I'm trying to help. Yeah. Because you have some white stiff come out there, some old dude, white dude come to try to speak to the community. You already know how many blinders you have to overcome until you get there.
I've spoken at just about every Tarrant County GOP Republican Party country club. I ain't curse. At times I would speak a cultural narrative, but I didn't bring the character. The man, Charleston, wasn't effective. I've worked with over 50 U.S. congressional members to get juvenile life without parole abolished in this country through youth advocacy. I've worked with the Texas Criminal Justice Coalition. I've partnered with state and local agencies to try to get the juvenile age jurisdiction raised in this country. Man, I went to city council every Tuesday for almost 2 years, never missed, spoke on the community. So it wasn't until I dressed like what I was trying to advocate for.
Yeah.
Until I started speaking, I was in the hood saying, look at our little brother. Don't do that. Come on, sister. Come on, brother, don't. Man, they wasn't saying that. When I heard their mother say, sit your goddamn ass down, and they responded to that. You listen to the lyrics of the rappers. They're responding to these words. That's why our teachers really can't teach them. They can't receive the words. They can't,
they're square adults.
Yeah. Yeah. So that becomes the blocker when you're dealing with the youth. And so I became the culture. I embodied the culture in this character. Vulgar, disrespectful, bitch, fuck you. That's all in the culture.
Yeah.
When I'm riding in the mornings, taking my daughter to school, I'm listening to rap music because it's a part of my culture. And this is what made me stop listening to rap music with my daughter in the car. There's a song by Future called Stick Talk. And there's a verse where he says, I ain't got no manners for no slut. I'm going to put my thumb in her butt. And as he was saying it, I'm bouncing my head and look back there at my daughter. And she was just staring at me. I said, man, some little boy go put a thumb in my daughter's butt when he go to school. Man, it bothers me all day long. Boy, I said, oh, man. Because I used to pinch girls' butt and put my foot on the chair, so pull it. So I'm saying, man, they're playing this on the radio.
Yeah.
Before school. But 20 years ago, you used to hear songs like, I love school, before the kids. They waited till the kids got out of the car. When we was kids on Saturday mornings, there was no commercials on our cartoons. So I'm saying, man, something has to change.
Yeah.
And I wanted to become the change that I wanted to see in my community.
Yeah.
And so I went back to the community that I was from. I stopped traveling around the country. And man, I started a youth program, a youth outreach in Stop Six. And I made it out of poverty. My mother made it out of poverty. I went back and I kind of like you did. I slept with those people, ate with them, fought with them.
Yeah.
I did all that. Yeah. But I wasn't from there. They thought I was homeless. But I would get up late at night and go home, shower, come back and open up to feed the kids. They thought I was homeless. Yeah, I slept. So I became them only so I can understand them. At first, I was speaking from a distance because I wasn't poor. Yeah, we was from Stop Six, but when we made out of Stop Six, it wasn't what it is today. It wasn't extreme poverty. So if I'm going to speak on it, I have to be able to understand it.
Right. Not necessarily have, well, you have to have empathy at least, if not sympathy.
Compassion.
Yeah. Compassion.
Even if you don't have empathy, compassion.
But a lot of people feel like if you didn't come from their circumstance, and this isn't exclusive to the communities that we're talking about too. This is military counseling, everything, or whatever, right? You want to talk to somebody who's lecturing you or giving you ideas. Typically, you want to hear those from people who've been through what you've been through.
Most definitely.
Right. And that's kind of the chameleon you are, which I appreciate because your truth is the same, but your delivery is different.
If I'm going to battle on the battlefield, I want my sergeant to have been in war, to be training me for the battlefield.
Right.
I don't want sergeants who hadn't been out there.
Right.
And so all my life, I wanted to be out there. Here I am coming from a loving home. My mother was God-fearing, got up and worked every day. I never seen a man come out of a bedroom. I've never been abused. I wasn't neglected. I wanted a father. My mother thought she was doing the best thing by keeping men out of our home because it wasn't no positive male images nowhere. Granddaddy been to prison. Uncle's been to prison. Mom's cousin's been to prison. There's no positive males nowhere. So my mother said, I better know. So she did that in her younger years. Only for when we started getting to our pre-adolescent stages, my mom started looking for men for us to connect to. But at this time, we're resentful toward men because we hadn't had one. So if you show up trying to be authoritative and you're not trying to connect, then you push, we push. You push, we push, and there's never build.
A typical kid thing, too.
Yeah, the typical
especially
kid.
With a new man, it was like.
But you're showing up. But you're showing up at my adolescent stage when I'm the most fucked up.
Right.
Yeah,
you know everything.
Yeah, when I know everything, I'm just starting to get hair on my nuts. My friends' words mean everything. My peers' opinions mean more than what my parents say. So you're showing up.
We need to get her.
Yeah, that's her. And you're showing up saying, don't do this. Don't do this. Man, I needed you 7 years ago. And these words would have been received much easier.
Yeah.
But if you come in and meet the need, because you can't correct anything if you don't have a relationship with it.
Right. So is that where the need meet starts? Is they just need to connect with you as a person first?
So I tell white volunteers when they work with the kids in the Texas Youth Commission, don't let your lack of blackness stop you from connecting with that kid. He's a human.
Yeah.
You're a man, he's a boy. You know what he's going through.
Just don't introduce yourself and start lecturing.
Yeah.
Because any kid's going to.
Hey, man, what's your name? What kind of music do you like? What's your favorite song? Who's your favorite rapper? Now, how you get that kid, he's just blowing you off, just saying some shit. But when you come back the next visit and you say some of those lyrics, you say, hey, I went and looked up Lil Boosie. And now that kid is, oh, man, for real? I listened to a few of his songs. Now y'all got a connection.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, yeah.
I did the exact same thing with the Republican Party. I showed up with my hat cocked like this, gold chains on, right after the Trayvon Martin and Zimmerman verdict, right? I went and connect with hey, I understand that this party used to fought for slavery. They're 100% responsible for all civil rights legislation. Man, they was taken aback by a black guy with a mouthful of gold teeth talking about I'm a Republican. I speak to you. I made a connection. They invited me in. And when they opened the door, I said, hey, listen, I went to the executive meeting last night and they shunned me. And Jen Hall and Shelley Pritchard said, oh, I'm sorry. I said, no, ma'am, no, ma'am. I understand that this party used to be the party that fought for us to get out of slavery. And I want to get y'all back to embracing niggas. They ain't know what to say. Our ancestors called themselves blacks and African Americans and Negroes. This new generation hollering, I'm a bad bitch. I'm a real nigga. I'm a street nigga. I'm a driller. So we ain't what they think we should be. This is who they are today. So let's connect with this today so we can repair it and fix it and bring some healing. And as we do that, we begin to bridge gaps.
So I know I've worked with all levels of folks too, and I'm sure you have as well. Obviously, you're talking about the gambit at this point. But you're an adolescence, and we talked about that, about how they take certain influence or they take feedback, whatever. Is there an ideal age if you could say, hey man, this is the age to start? What's the prime age to
third grade?
I think positive influence.
I think third grade. I think we wait too late to try to intercept when they start having problems.
You wait until they get invited to do something before you. Say it's
when they become at risk, we need to get them before they become at risk.
Yeah.
And where is that? When they're the most innocent, first, second, third grade. There's not a lot of programs that's geared at developing children at such a low level.
Right.
Motor skills, even trade skills. But the school system, they do a lot of focus and studies on third grade literacy tests. So if the school is doing that, and there's reports that say that some prisons are built based off third grade literacy tests. I don't know how true that is. We complain about where they're shoving homosexuality off on our kids. If we believe that, then that should be our counter, right? If we believe our children are being exposed too early to things, we should counter the actions with the same actions.
With your perspective.
Yeah. Focus on our children.
Before they get somebody else's.
Yeah. And I get that perspective from Frederick Douglass. One of his greatest quotes is, "It is much easier to create strong children than it is to repair broken men." I'm the strong child that was created.
Yep.
All of my homeboys and friends, they the broken men that's trying to be repaired.
And so that said, for the people that are on a trajectory that you took, so you had a good upbringing, fatherless, however.
Yeah, fatherless.
You ended up taking a path that got you into trouble. And maybe we'll back around and talk about that.
Well, we can take them there right here. I grew up believing from a cultural standpoint that what makes a black man a man if he go to jail or prison? Granddaddy, Uncle Wayne, Uncle Curtis, Uncle Joe, Knocky, Curtis, Uncle Boosie, Keenan, Googie, all the men. That's just within the family. This is a kid with a young, impressionable mind trying to make sense of life and life's characters. Mom, dad, uncles, cousins, teachers. So
without a real concept of what that means.
Yeah.
I mean, it's its own little fallacy up there. Like, hey, this makes you tough, but you never really.
Well, it's that rite of passage.
It's like teaching an 11-year-old about love. It's like, dude, you're not going to teach them anything until they experience something, right?
Yeah. It's the rite of passage because, man, I cry when I say this on the inside. Man, we was in 6th grade at Atherton Elementary practicing our walk for when we go to jail or prison. You have to think, I was born in 1977. For the first half of my life, half the shit we watched on television was prisons because you have the black exploitation television era, right?
Yep.
My uncle was a pimp. One of our favorite movies was Superfly, the Mac, pimp movies. My grandmama, behold, man, that wasn't frowned upon. So we grow up watching these movies. By the time I was 8, 9 years old, I can recite everything in that movie. So now, here come the other movies. So by the time I'm 10, 11, 12, man, my mama at work. Mama say, don't go outside. You stay y'all butt in this house, and you did what mama said back then. You might look out the door, But all day long, while your mama's at work trying to provide a good living, she done already cooked dinner. She done left instructions. Leave your homework out because she get off at 2 in the morning. She's going to call every break, so we have to answer the phone.
Yeah.
So we leave the homework out and make sure you take a bath. She get off at 2 in the morning. If that homework is not done, she go in that bathroom and check that soap and see if it's wet. You waking up to, yeah. So so she was pretty strict and firm and consistent. But man, that lack of father creates a anger and resentment in a boy that nobody can explain until he start getting in trouble.
So what are some alternatives that you are aware of? I mean, obviously there are programs and other things. So do a lot of them work, or is it kind of age-based?
No,
or is it...
what happens is the adults pick the program for the kids. They don't let the kids pick who they want, who they need to mentor them. So what happens is they come with all the rules and stipulations saying, okay, kid, this is how me and you're going to engage each other. And the kid has no say-so.
But the kid doesn't have a perspective yet. I mean, the kid just thinks he knows everything, right?
The kid have an insight that adults lose, knowing who's bullshitting them or not.
Okay.
Yeah, the kid know who's bullshitting or not.
Yeah, because they don't have the intelligence level, but they got intuition.
Intuition.
Yeah, yeah.
And they got a resiliency that we lose as we get older. That's how they get through what they get through. The kid that's getting molested and it seems like it's never going to end. It takes resiliency to keep having to go through that.
Yeah.
We would hang ourselves. We would give up. These kids still go through. Come to school hungry. Look dirty. And because they look like this, there's a label put on them based on their behavior.
Which just exacerbates the whole situation.
But they still find a way to be a kid and smile throughout the day.
Yeah. And that age is going down every year too. Because now that everybody gets on YouTube and learns stuff too, these 11-year-old kids know what suicide is.
I was just about to say, we've seen over the last 5 to 10 years suicide rates of, and I used to think that was fake news. And I want to apologize for that. I used to think that was fake news when I seen 11-year-old found hung in a closet because of bullying. I said, man, that's bullshit. Man, no, you couldn't wrap my mind around it.
Yeah.
But I had a friend who hung himself when he was 17 years old. And from the time he was 14 or 17, he always would say it. We never believed him.
Yeah.
But so I'm going to go back to your question. So when you're dealing with kids already feel like they don't have a say-so in anything. They don't have a say-so in who wants to mentor them. Where some mentors are just talking at them. Can't relate on nothing. It makes the kid more resentful. It pushes a further gap. That's why it's such a big gap between the old and the young. The young now hates the old. Young people think it's something wrong with being old. They curse being old.
That's not new news, though.
Oh, yeah, because I used to think something wrong with old people, too.
Yeah, I mean, they're just square old people. I mean, they don't know what's cool, and so you think you know what's cool. I mean, we went through that, too, in our youth.
But think about a community in a village that don't have old people. We got young people who don't see old people. Their grandmothers are in their early 40s. There's no gray beard grandfather.
Yeah. That's not really old. They think 40's old.
Yeah, I thought 30 was old. Man, I cried when my mama turned 35. I thought her life was over when she turned 35. Yeah, I thought she was old.
Oh, please make me 35 again.
But what I'm saying is those old traditions that normally, when we used to see grandmother in the courtroom, and she stand up and talk. And the judge and everybody in that courtroom would listen to grandmother. She was an honorable, dignified woman. That don't exist in some communities anymore, mainly mine. When you look on social media, you don't see the elder presence of Black people and young people exchanging our traditions and cultures. That's why Black culture is all about hip hop now. We've gotten away from our elders. And that was because of the crack era.
And even a lot of the success stories that exist. I mean, when you and I were talking last time, I said, I think a lot of the misconception, ignorance, all the way to bigoted white people, their avatar of a Black person is a thug. And that's not accurate.
No.
It's not accurate at all. But that is why I think a lot of the ignorance perpetuates, because when you say, hey, Julie's cousin's going out with a black guy, immediately there's this perception. And
Julie's going to be a single mom soon.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm serious. I mean, but,
I think it.
And you don't even know. I mean, my orthopedic surgeon's a black man. I love him to death. We're great friends.
Man,
but that's not who people think
I
of.
saw Ben Carson ride by the Stop Six Project. Black man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but when you don't have that to see, you don't see a black banker. When you go to the doctor, you don't never see a black doctor who speaks English. Now, you may see a black principal, but most of the time, that black principal is responsible for your referrals, your discipline. So you can't receive him the way you would. So when you come out of school, you come out of your house, your mother don't take you to the bank, and when y'all go in the bank, it's a bunch of black people there working. You don't see that. You see the gangbanger, you see the drug dealer, and all of those guys look like who? The rapper. The kid don't have a clue that the rapper is actually mimicking the people in the streets. The kids are mimicking the rappers, thinking the rappers are the real street guys. The rappers are just propagating the street bullshit because it sells.
Yeah.
The kids have the young, impressionable mind. They really can't decipher if that man on television really died. They don't know until they know. So some children have access at that phone, the radio, the lyrics, porn. They have access to it. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. We've taken that away from our babies. And so I understand that everything that I mimicked as a kid, I learned because I saw it. Children mimic what they see and repeat what they hear.
Yeah,
I learned to cuss because my uncle and them was cussing.
Right. And you knew it was bad and they did it. So it made it even more intriguing for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when my mother said, don't do this, I wonder why she said, don't do it. And I do it. Don't do it. I did it because why mama say don't do it. It intrigues me on why they saying not do it.
It almost helped if she said do it. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. So, but as a kid, you're trying to process this little brain of yours. And you're so dumb because you think you know and they're stupid.
Right.
You really believe this. But your feelings control you, not your thoughts. So that's why I defend children who get in trouble, because these aren't permanent decisions that they're making. They're just impulsive. The human brain, the brain development part, if we can teach that to children long before they start bucking and being, the teenage adolescent stage, if we can teach that, the awareness and the knowledge that, man, you don't have a fully developed brain. You have to pay more attention to what you feel because you're really governed by your feelings at this age.
Well, because there's no life context to apply.
There you go.
They just haven't felt it yet.
So as parents, why did you do this? And you be hollering, man, why did you do this? And that kid, I don't know. Yeah, you know. I don't know. They really don't know. They just felt it. And we're asking them to give us a logical explanation. It's up to us to look at the behavior and the actions and explain it to them. This is wrong. This is right. Children have to be taught how to do what's right. You naturally come out doing what's wrong. I know guys were never really taught what's right. I know guys watch their mamas get beat on. The girl who he dated watched her mama get beat on. So he beat on her and don't nobody say nothing because this is okay. Even the mother tell the daughter, baby, this what down. So he don't know nothing wrong with this. It feel bad. He feels horrible. His mama got beat. His grandmama got beat. His sister get beat. And every woman he'd never laid with gets beat. How do he know that's wrong until y'all come take him to jail and say, this is wrong? A lot of our children don't know what they're doing is wrong until they get in trouble.
Or a lot of those abusers too inherently sense that it's wrong, which is how it stays, because they come back 6 hours later and say, look, I'm so sorry. This is not what I'm trying to do. They know it's wrong. They just don't have
the feeling of powerless that he can't deal with. It's that uncomfortable feeling, because it's all about it's a power struggle. Yeah. But he really feels weak. He really feels shame. he don't know how to process it properly other than hurting because he hurting really.
So this may pivot a little bit. How much of this, because I've had a lot of discussion about all the way systemic racism all the way up to some of these issues that we've been talking about. How much of this do you think is actually socioeconomic versus race? How much of this is really about poverty?
So I think classism more than racism. So poverty, the haves and the have-nots. I think we're in the Victorian age in modern day time. If people studied the Victorian age, it was rich and poor. There was nothing in between. The rich never went down there. It was slums. It was disease. We're almost to that point in this country. If it wasn't for the great middle class, the middle class have not died yet. They haven't died yet. Those people are still alive, and they're still vibrant in this country.
And we're trying to bring them to the table. This is what we do here.
So that's what I'm saying.
Right?
So, but what kills them is we hollering racism. Because most middle class people live next door to black and white people. I'm the first generation of black kids in the 80s got to go to school with white people, homie, after the civil rights.
But you still have the systemic part.
Well,
that puts and keeps a lot of minorities in poverty. Well, which in turn causes more of the issues.
It only does it if you don't know it. It only keeps you there if you don't know it. But if you understand that it's systemic, right? Once you get your education, you can beat it. Once you get your education, once you know how to talk, sit up straight, look a man in the eye, yes sir, no sir, have a work ethic, show up at work on time, even the most racist white man will back up off for you. He's a hard worker. So we've beat racism in this country. Racism have not won in America. How much worse can you be than a slave? How much worse can you be than hanging from a tree? So if I go into the court system, systematic racism, I already know that. So I try to stay out the court systems.
Yeah. And that was born of the slavery era and the other things. And again, what it does is breed ignorance.
A lot
and
of
I was
ignorance.
on you too. I got friends that call me and ask me, what do I do? What do I do? And I said, look, don't get tired of explaining to me what else I can do, because I have to ask people. I said, look, I think I know what I'm doing, but I could be ignorant as anybody else. So I think helps to educate yourself.
I think bureaucracy, ideologies, prejudice, and social economics is hurting America. Because the people in those bureaucracies positions, most of those people retire 30, 40 years. They're not elected people. The president changes, but they don't change. It's their ideologies when I submit that application and apply for something. It's their prejudice in the way. I used to believe that racism was embedded in the fabrics of America. I think that's been unthreaded because America has 99 tongues in it now. It ain't just the white man and the black man. America got bigger problems than their attitude toward their black people. If I go on a job and this job is mostly white managers, what am I to expect? I'm going to say that's systematic racism. But man, if I come in there and I sell myself good enough because I've been able to get past it, I've stood in front of a judge and was sincere, and I know they're supposed to give me sin, and because what that judge saw, he had compassion and mercy. We can beat it, man. Evil has never won. Right. When we study history, it has never won.
And those people exist
still today,
for sure. But so do the others. Well, you still have the others, which again is why we're in the middle and why we have to be cautious.
Their voices are louder. The others, their voices are louder. That's it.
100%.
That's it.
That's the whole purpose of this conversation, is that their voices are louder.
So let them yell, and we have dialogue with our youth. Because our youth don't sing that song. Yeah. White kids love Steph Curry. White kids love LeBron James. White kids love Lil Wayne, Drake, 21 Savage. Man. Mm-hmm. So, but
even that feeds a stereotype.
It does.
Inadvertently, right?
Well, only for us. I think they're waiting for us to leave so they can just have fun in America. I think the young folks are just waiting because It's our beliefs from where we come from. It's not where they come from. Man, when you think about the Kardashians, man, you think about Lamar Odom, Kanye West, man, you can't, it's hard for our kids to say racism. That's why you don't find too many black kids mad at white people hollering racism. You hardly find any more mean white kids just hollering nigger. When I was a kid, you heard it all the time. You hardly see black and white kids fighting in school anymore over racism, even in rural towns. They're meeting up somewhere. They're meeting up somewhere in their life, in their world, and they're finding out that the hate and the prejudice and the racist beliefs that we have is bullshit.
It's slowly, I mean, it's getting there. Like you said, it's getting there. I think everyone has the right idea, but you still have a lot of people that are ignorant to certain things. They don't realize. That's why the fact that systemic racism is even debatable is amazing to me, because people will actually say it doesn't exist.
Well, it does. It's evidence that it does exist. There's real human testimonials that, you know, we've seen it. We've seen it.
But that's part of the ignorance. And now that it's been set up and set into motion, and you're 4 and 5 generations removed, but you're still practicing things that just are. You don't recognize how just are is wrong, because it's just the way things are. You know, a white person doesn't have the context to understand that. So trying to get somebody
when I hear that it's just the way things are, I automatically say that's wrong. That in my mind, that's the justification to just keep fucking over people. It's just the way it is. That's because
I'm with you.
I've been hearing that in the entertainment industry, getting fucked over until you find out the truth. And then once you get the truth, you find out it's not just the way it is.
Right.
But you don't know until you get to the truth.
Right. But how do you get to the truth if people are denying that it exists?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out now.
I think we're doing it here. Like I said, I think there's a lot more people like you and I, even that disagree, that are willing to be at this table and have this conversation till the truth is found in everyone's mind. Well, we're just not nearly as loud or
we're not boxed
sellable.
In, though,
we're not sellable.
We're not boxed in, though. I think they're boxing themselves in.
Oh, for sure. But they still get the loudest voice. That's why you're the chameleon. You're the guy, man. You can still be the loud dude, but you have substantive truth to speak. And
I challenge me. I challenge me. I don't challenge other people's beliefs. I don't want to try to change anyone's beliefs. I want my action to show what I believe. And most people with those loud voices, at some point in their life, I believe they see the truth through an experience with another human.
You hope. I mean, it depends on situations. I mean, we always bring up, look at the Indians. I mean, we put them in a situation where they're not discriminated against because they're completely ignored. We don't have to see them anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, that's even one step worse. Yeah. Is to be completely ignored. But there's no way to improve that situation until we start wanting to learn how we can remedy that situation. And that's what we try to do is find some of these issues that exist and say, what can we do, instead of saying, look, slavery was so long ago that this doesn't apply to me. We should still be trying to figure out how to help one another regardless.
Yeah. If not, we'll repeat it.
For sure.
If not, we're gonna withdraw from one another. We're gonna resegregate America. And then America will be like the Reconstruction era again. Bunch of hate and killing. One of the worst times in America was the Reconstruction era. Trying to build a railroad through America. I'm convinced that, and I don't say this to be racist.
I always like this setup.
Yeah.
No offense,
I'm
but
convinced. I'm convinced that we've become too hateful as white Americans, black Americans, Arab Americans, Hispanic Americans. We've become too hateful that we won't get to see the peace and love and harmony that we all desire to have. I think our kids will get it. And I say that because My grandparents was racist. My children's grandparents on their Hispanic side was racist. But when the baby was born, it killed it. Yeah, my grandmother and they didn't like Hispanics, you know, they didn't like whites. I was called a nigger by my Hispanic baby mother's grandmother. What that nigger doing in the house? When Grandpa Richard came home from federal prison with all these tattoos on him, he didn't like the fact that I was dating. But man, when Miho was born, my grandson was born, me and Grandpa Richard became friends. Me and Grandma B. So I
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And you try to figure out, again, all that is finding something that is so in common that it's undeniable, right?
We're all human.
We have so much more in common than we do less in common.
I could never get my hair like you, but boy, we got more in common than anything.
I can't grow a mustache either. So
you can't?
Hey, this is 6 months of work right here, man.
Boy, I would go crazy if I couldn't grow a mustache.
That's why my fishbowl days, it was like, this was about this long. That's about all I got, man.
Oh, yeah. No wonder. Yeah. You still got the baby face look then. Yeah.
Hey, when I'm 70, I'll be loving it even more. Yeah, I'll take it all day long. Yeah. I cried when I was 32. Come on.
But we can change the narrative. I still believe in love. I still believe in good people. I still believe that there's honest people in the world. I still look at the glass half full. That's the hope, because I came from love. I came from saying I'm sorry when you was wrong. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Give your cousin a hug, and if y'all done kiss and make up, then since y'all acting like, you know, make it right. Mm-hmm. So I came from that, and even though I tried to abandon it, I even went to a stage of life where I rejected it, only to come back and pick it up, to pass it on to my kids. So we can't give up. We can't.
For sure. I mean, we're both fighting the battle from different angles, but we're both fighting for the same thing. I hope you know that.
I know that. Man, listen, I met Miss Nikki. I met her son. Long before we sat down, I know what you did. It's not spoken on. So I know you're not trying to champion. I found that out on my own because a kid got in trouble. He was hanging with some more kids, robbing a bunch of shit, and he was finna go away for 20 years at 18 years old. His mother would come down to the bar that we worked at, where I worked at the Clears with, and she told me his story. And in the process of me telling me his story, you came up and what you did for her. And not just her, a whole bunch of other kids. And so that's when you got on my radar. So I know we working for the same.
That's great. Well, I appreciate that. Again, I don't usually speak on
I know,
the things I'm trying to do right.
But that's trying. But I'm telling to you, that's a testimony. That's a testimony. So everybody ain't saying fuck Tegan. It's a lot of mothers in some of them gangster niggas, they ain't gonna admit it. You're a hero. You don't claim it, but the spirit of what you left behind, you got to know it's a hero.
I love a lot of those dudes too, so I just haven't poked any bears, you know, but I had really good relationships with all those guys. I don't blame them for, you know, when I come out of my persona or whatever, so much of that persona was me. And so some of the relationships felt real to me, although I completely understand why they wouldn't buy it afterwards. But and several.
Well, if they were smart, they'll do just what Frank Lucas and that other cop did and made American Gangster one of the biggest movies we done seen in the last 20 years. If they was smart, because at the end of the day, if I'm playing cops and robbers, it ain't no hard feelings if you a cop and I'm a robber.
We're both doing our job.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Cowboy and Indian, it ain't no hard feelings. You play cowboy, I'm Indian. I want to be Indian. I want to be a robber. So why I'm mad at you, cop, when you get the robber? It's your job to get me. It's my job to make it so you don't get me. Ain't no feelings in this. I know what I'm doing. So we teach that. Man, you run from the police kick your ass. Well, guess what? You got to throw the gun away. Take the ass whooping. They didn't catch the gun. that was a understood, unwritten rule. You run, you get your ass kicked. So you don't go complaining.
It certainly used to be.
You don't go complaining.
It doesn't happen much anymore.
You threw the dope, but because no one is being taught this is right and this is wrong. Okay, you want to sell drugs, son? Okay, get you some money, have your lawyer money, bond money, and commissary money, because you're going to jail. Tell him.
Yeah.
Don't ignore it. But you can't bring that dope in here. Say, what, man, you better get out of here with them guns. You're not bringing that here. And then sit him down and tell him what this is going to do.
The perspective is the key, right?
Yeah.
I remember, before I got into doing all of the undercover work, I did tons of the reading on the topic. I even read a book that a guy wrote on how to smuggle. It was fascinating. But his whole thing, right in the beginning of the book, was
You're Locked Up Abroad is one of my favorite motherfucking shows.
So he said, so his whole thing was, he started the book by saying, look, you've got about a 20-year lifespan in this and plan on spending between 8 and 11 of it in jail. Man, that perspective, even before you read how to do it, it's like, okay, this is a trade-off. You're gonna live on your
cost and benefits.
Yeah,
they used to teach us that in the boys' home, where your cost and benefits.
And then you've got to teach that. I've heard you speak on it. You got to bring the true perspective of what prison life really is, because on the street, the perception of prison life gives you street cred. But when you really get into it, nobody, even everyone that's been there doesn't want to go back.
Nobody speaks highly of it.
And so you've got to be able to express that too.
I know guys
and associated with something they maybe understand.
I know tough guys who say, I'll die before I go back. And they survived, they made it, they ruled in there. I know guys say they'd rather be dead than to be in jail.
Yeah.
Those guys who have been there. Guys who really ain't been there, they, like how I was. And I say this, and this is the kid in me. As a black boy who want to be a man and who was misguided, misled, and tricked into gangsterism. At times, when I'm in certain circles, or I have to defend the fact that I've never been to prison, I feel like I missed out on something by not going to prison. I feel like they got us up on me, man. I feel like we all got medals. They got more medals than me because they've been to prison. Because in certain conversations and in certain worlds, you couldn't have walked the yard. I made it 12 years.
Yeah, they got the clout. You're not in that conversation.
And boy, their chest be stuck out and the women's eyes be googling and gaga. And he looked like it's a bravado-ness that I wish I had sometime.
I think we've all been there with entertainment industry stuff does that all the time too.
Yeah.
You watch a movie and somebody's doing something and we all get that, man, I wish I could do that or that. But it's all a facade, right?
It's all, listen.
But to a kid, you can't flip that.
That's why I hate prison pictures. I hate prison pictures on social media because it give off the same effect that the military guys give, that the SWAT guys give, that the Pope boys, it give off the same. It looks manly, camaraderie. And you say, man, I want that. Man, the way they standing and tough, and I said, man, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. So that's why I'm doing this, man, because somebody got to call out the bullshit. Nobody called it out for us.
Yeah.
Nobody.
And when I call it out, this ain't
man, they go first and they go, how you white man?
They're going to listen to me. No.
A 93-year-old woman house was shot up. Made the front page news on Hattie Street. 93-year-old woman house, over 23, 25 something assault rifles, 3 different kinds. I see it on the news. I see the Fort Worth Police Department gang unit over there. I hit up the gang unit. Hey, I want to help that woman's house get fixed. Come to find out they shot up the wrong house. Trying to shoot up the guy's house next door whose mother works for the sheriff department. Everybody stayed silent. Everybody stayed silent. At that point, I said, enough is enough. 93-year-old. Her daughter lived across the street. When they heard the shots, all they can think about is this is the time of the morning when mama get up and go to the restroom. She just laid there as the bullets slid through the house. That's when I took my stance.
I've heard you talk on this too, and it was one of the things I wanted to cover because it's always been something I battled from my perspective. And look, my law enforcement career is long behind me, but it was something that was frustrating. But then the more time I spent in the community, the more I gained an appreciation for why it does happen. The difference being between if you have, let's say, you have nothing to lose when it's your sister because nothing else is more important.
Yeah.
But I learned to gain an appreciation for, again, when you're in a community full of people that, or not full of people, but with plenty of a populace of people who have nothing to lose and will come by and shoot your grandmother's house up. And that is your motivation for keeping quiet. How do we change the culture of the way that people think so that the community backs people that are trying to support the better good? Because I can actually appreciate if, look, I can tell on so-and-so, on JoJo, but I go back to my neighborhood and everything's fine. But if I got to go live 3 blocks down and drive by their house every single day, and I know it's going to be a problem in my community, that's appreciable to me. I understand that could be a big deal.
The community, it has to be a few people in the community willing to die for this, or it ain't gonna change. Because
people do already die for it.
But they're not dying for standing up against wrong. More are put into silence. That's why the police got to come out and work and knock on. More are put into silence. Fear and shame. Fear and shame is probably right up under love and power. If I had to put love, fear, and shame on a scale, love go way heavy. But boy, that shame and fear won't be too far behind it. The fear is going to come from, we go get you. Man, they snitch, your snitch. Okay, man, I ain't going to tell nothing. The shame comes from everybody saying that's a snitch. And in this community, a snitch is worse than a pedophile and a child molester, a woman beater. A snitch is. A snitch is worse than the person who kills the old woman. A snitch is worse than the person who stomps and kills the baby.
So how do we flip that?
We got to shame the rules. We got to do to them what they doing to us. Shame and fear.
Yeah.
Okay, you go do this. I'm willing to die to call the police on you and put you in jail. I'm willing to shoot it out with you. I'm willing to die and kill you to put you in jail for what you. So the same fear. I done made my mind up. I'm willing to die, kill, and go to jail.
You're asking for a whole lot from people, which, I mean, you're right. I mean, if you had heroes that did that, what about how many heroes that do that end up in a ditch and again it was a snitch, which is, again, they just discounted. They're trying to do right.
We watch upset mothers do it. We watch fed up dads come out to the block. Right. You see what I'm saying? But
it is a different perception.
But they have a value for something. My value is I love all y'all in this community. I love life. I love the fact that my kids, I don't have to have kids to love to not, man, we all got some value. If nothing else, property value. You go run down grandmama property value. If nothing else, man, property value.
Yeah, I kept thinking, when I was working, I felt like I was the only one that was super, super careful to protect my sources. Like, to me, if you had walked up to me and didn't know me and said, hey, man, so-and-so's doing so-and-so, I wouldn't force you to testify for that because you said it out loud. I'd be like, man, let me figure out a way that we can communicate where nobody's going to know we're communicating, because that information itself is so important to me, and your safety is so important to me. I think a lot of it comes from the law enforcement end too, where you have enough, you got enough cops in the city where the great ones are equaled by the morons, and when the morons shine brighter, it looks bad on everybody.
I've been friends with law enforcement for probably about 10 years now, and I've come to learn that no one likes a bad cop, not even a bad cop.
No.
But even too, if a good cop tell on a bad cop, he'll be shamed for snitching.
Yep, exactly.
So it's no different.
It isn't different. And that's exactly right.
So that's that system again.
Mm-hmm.
The system of snitching, the ridicule and the shame that comes with it. We have to undo it.
Right. But that one's easier because I've spoken out about that too. About when you're not willing to speak out about a cop that's doing wrong, then you don't deserve to be a cop because that standard, you're held to a higher standard.
Well, you go give them a good cop kill. You discredit all my good cops.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. They just all they do is make you look bad because they're your brother in blue. I get it. I was there. I understand how there's a pride point and everything else, but because of that pride point is the reason why you should be ratting them out and eradicating all that stuff so that you have nothing but an A team in there. But they have a lot less to lose because all you're talking about in the cop community is that shame part. You don't have somebody driving by grandma's or yours or, launching rounds into your house or getting you killed. That's different.
Because people think I'm a snitch and perceive me to be a snitch. I get adult guys to threaten to rape my daughter. I get guys say they go kill and hurt my son. Man, it's crazy. I had a Hispanic gang member do a podcast one day and said if I had Charleston White and R. Kelly standing next to each other, I'll slap the shit out of Charleston White because he's a snitch. He piss on kids. You'll let the kid.
Yeah.
Man, so if I got to give my life, I'm gonna change that, homie. It's okay to tell. It's okay to tell. If two criminals do something together, who cares if they snitch on each other? There's no honor amongst thieves anyway.
Right.
But what's happening is snitching have went down to the kids. Where if big cousin molesting the little cousin, don't snitch on me or make you quiet and hold in the molestation. I've heard it. I've seen it in so many group therapy sessions. I didn't want to be a snitch.
Yeah.
I've worked on capital murder cases on 18, 19-year-old young men partnering with attorney Mitch Note, man, and Shannon Ross doing criminal defense mitigation specialist. This file says that this kid been molested, but he don't want to say it because it's snitching. But if he say it, we can take these mitigating factors and get this life sentence off and get him 12 to 10 to 15 years. But he don't want to be a snitch.
Yeah. And he's willing to spend that many more years in prison. Again, I think that's perception though too. That's not realizing how bad you're screwing yourself until you're already locked up.
But listen, that's the shame to keep daddy away. See, that's the same shame that make daddy absent. Man, shame will make you walk away from your kids. I see so many men do it because they feel less than a man. They don't have the money. The shame just make them just walk away. My daddy did it. Shame. Shame will make you turn away from God. So imagine your whole community shaming you. You got they gonna shame your mama. They gonna shame you for doing what's right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it, man.
Well, that level of humility comes with maturity. And that's what the problem that we're talking about is. We're talking about 15 to 30-year-old people who haven't reached the level of self-awareness and humility and willingness to say, man, I completely effed this up and I humble myself in front of you. I'm so sorry. That's rare for a 19-year-old kid.
It's rare for a 30-year-old to look at his friends and say, hey, y'all, we wrong.
For sure.
We wrong.
Yeah.
The whole group say we wrong, but we think we right.
That's the real leader, though.
Yeah, that's a real leader.
But he's going to be, in your case, you say he's going to get booted.
Well, depending on the relationship, he's the change. He'll become the change.
Yeah.
If he's the one with the respect, if he's the one that they kind of scared of, he got to be willing to go against it. And that's what changed America. Because for a long time, white people didn't speak out against slavery. They knew it was wrong. They really didn't know much about it until Mark Twain started writing about it. They didn't have television. No one knew the brutality of it, right? But once they started seeing people hung, it was some people saying, oh, man, we can't do this. But they couldn't say it publicly. You go hang too.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, they start hanging with them. You have to be willing to make a sacrifice, even to lay your life down for what's right, to stand up for what's right. America do it all the time with its military. Whether they wrong or not, they say, we're doing this because we think this is right. When we think we right, homie, we'll stand up and die for it, even if we wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, okay, y'all, let's just get right. Say right is right and wrong is wrong, no matter who it is. Cop, black person, no matter who it is, that's wrong. Yeah. Let's just start right there.
Well, amen to that. I think that's where the white savior complex comes in too. Again, it's the same type of thing as, look.
Well, I won't listen. I worked at the Classy Lady for 10 years. I used to sit out there, and every Thursday I see white people bringing bounce houses and water slide. No black people. Here it come again. There go them white people. So then, when it's Christmas time, boy, look at them white police officers passing out their bikes over there at that white church. When you go to prison and it's Kairos, white people in there on Cairo passing out food. When I started teaching classes at the adult parole office with Welcome Back Tarrant County on McCart every Tuesday and Thursday, it were white churches. So don't let the white savior complex stop you from saving us, man. We need some white savior. We need some black savior. We need some saviors.
Right. Well, and that's where the ultimately is. There shouldn't be a division. That's the whole point of it, is that we don't want division. If the green people were ruling the United States, then we as a United States would unite and try to either overthrow the green people, or if the green people reached out and said, I have compassion, I understand what you're going through, I want to help you.
9/11.
You'd be remiss to not take the help.
9/11 racism left America.
Oh, yes.
That day, racism did not exist in America.
Man, that was the greatest thing that come from that. If there was such a thing, I agree. It lasted almost 2 years.
Man, I'm talking about, man, racism didn't exist. Yeah. I want the Sandy Hook school shooting. Racism so it's certain things that happen, tragedies that happen in America where we join together for that moment. Mm-hmm. We find some kind of way to put all this shit to the side and join in for that moment.
It's the Charleston White having a kid.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the family is united.
Yeah.
So we just need to find more of those things. Again, it's all commonality. It's now all of a sudden we're Americans. Oh, last week we weren't Americans. We were bickering over black and white and this and this, and all of a sudden
Democrat,
now
Republican,
we forget it because there are more important things that we can accomplish as one.
If I think we, the people, if we looked at our politicians and forced them to stop the division by way of political parties and ideologies, and let's just fix the country. Fuck the party's platform. Let's just fix the people in the country. We got to do that. Because between that, the media, police shootings, we got all these divisive tools. Mm-hmm. And we never gather to focus on our similarities. We all humans in this country. We're all humans in this country. When the ice storm hit, black folks' lights went out. Mexicans' lights went out. We was all affected by that ice storm in Texas last year, homie. So we wasn't thinking racism then. We wasn't saying, oh man, the white man got my lights cut off. Everybody power was out. Everybody power was out.
Mine was. I had almost the longest stretch in that one.
But in those conditions, we focus on similarities and goodness come out of us.
Yeah. We're chipping away, man. That's what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
That's all we got to do. There's little things the police need to fix. Little things that socioeconomically we need to fix. Systemic racism. Both races here and the races over here need to fix what. In
the criminal justice world, the theory is the holistic theory. The holistic theory. It takes all of us. The government can't do it. It takes all of us. The saying is, it takes a village to raise a child. Mom and dad trains up the child. Mom and dad trains up the child. Do's, don'ts, right, wrong. It takes the village to raise it. A lot of communities have great villages. That's why homeowners associations are good. That's why, new home development areas is good, because they go make a village.
Yeah.
They go make a village, and they live there for 15, 20 years. You know your neighbor. That's the village. We just got a hood.
Yeah. Well, and one at a time, even within the hood, each little community. Look, you know, the Hope
Hey,
Farm.
neighbor. We bringing the neighbor back.
Yeah.
Hey, neighbor. Bringing the neighbor back to the hood. So I became the change that I wanted to see.
Well, God bless you, man. You're a badass. I love you for it. Thank you.
I love you too.
What's it take? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Success around the sandbox with second grade rules. A confident fake to make you do what they want when they won't pay the fool. A diplomatic face is the one to see you through. Don't let those bigots take you off your game, but just to let them loose. Just sit here in the front seat, baby, ain't that sweet? Take a little honey from the money bee, but don't pay the fool. A political magical potion, a missing piece at the end of the game. A slow roll, see the truth in slow motion. An answer found in 60 frames, like fine wine in motion. The truth lies between blurry lines. If you're gonna color me back, well, color me blind. What's at stake? What you got to lose? When a simplified plan turns back on you. One punk in the sandbox made the rules. The ones you broke because you don't got to pay a fool to find another fool. A political magical potion, missing pieces at the end of the game. A slow roll, a truth in slow motion. An answer found in 60 frames, like fine wine in motion. That truth lies between blurry lines. If you're gonna color me bad, well, color me blind. If you're gonna color me bad, color me blind. There will always be power where you stand, if you know that you're facing in the right direction. And though the sun only rises on one side of a war-torn battlefield, it shines on all imperfection.